Every new story begins with you subscribe. Let's walk through these reborn BL world hand in hand. I love you all for your supports. I never understood the emptiness until I felt it in the quiet moments. The hollow ache of a life missing something. Or rather, someone. A father. I had grown up with my mother as my only constant, her soft voice, her warm hands, her laugh that sometimes tried to fill the void of the man who had abandoned us too soon. Dad. I didn't remember much, just fragments. Photos in dusty frames, faded letters, and the echo of his absence in every quiet evening. Mummy, where is my dad? I asked her again one rainy afternoon, staring at her with wide eyes that refused to blink away hope. I must have asked that question 1,000 times, but it never seemed to have an answer. Her lips pressed into a small line, her hands tightening around the teacup she held. Shaun, you know he's in a better place, she said gently, the words feeling like an attempt to patch a hole that had only grown bigger with each passing day. But I wish I could see him, just once, I whispered, almost to myself. My voice trembled, and I could feel the sting of tears I refused to shed. She sighed, brushing a strand of hair from my forehead. Shauna, come on, let's go out. Let's get some ice cream, okay? Her words were a soft shield, trying to protect me from the emptiness she couldn't fix. I nodded, eager for even the smallest distraction. The sun had just broken through the clouds, painting the streets of Seoul in gold, and there was a smell of rain-washed asphalt that somehow made the city feel alive. We walked together, her hand warm in mine, heading toward the corner store where I always got my favorite vanilla ice cream and biscuits. And then, I saw him. A man. Handsome, tall, with sharp features that made my chest tighten in a strange way. He was buying ice cream for a small boy, his son, I assumed. But it wasn't the child that caught my attention. It was the way the man looked at my mother. His gaze lingered, intense and unmistakable. My chest tightened. Something in me reacted. Hello, Papa? I asked, blurting out the words before I could stop myself, tapping his shoulder. My heart raced and my small voice wavered. Why are you looking at my mummy? My mother stiffened beside me, a faint blush rising on her cheeks. Shaun, she started, but I didn't wait for her to scold me. I turned back to the man. Do you know her? Everyone in the store laughed. I could feel their eyes on me, and I didn't care. My curiosity and excitement were too big to be contained. The man looked down at me, his expression shifting from surprise to amusement. I can get you some ice cream and biscuits, little guy. You can take them home, he said, his voice low and calm. Really? My eyes sparkled like the first stars of evening. My little hands clutched together in hope. Please be my daddy. My mother's face turned crimson. She muttered, Shaun, that's enough. Let's go home. The man chuckled softly, glancing at her. I can be of help. Let me drive you home. Yes. Yes. I love it. I shouted with pure excitement, my tiny feet hopping up and down. Everyone around us laughed again, but I didn't care. The thrill of possibility, the hope of something I had never known, was too intoxicating. As he drove us home, I bombarded my mother with questions. Mom, do you know him? Do you love him? What if he's really my daddy? I think I love him already. Can't wait for him to get me ice cream next time. She shook her head, trying not to laugh. Shaun, let's just eat when we get home. But my mind was elsewhere, and so was hers, I could see it. The man, Jiho, my mother later told me his name, lingered in her thoughts as much as he did in mine. Days passed, and Jiho returned, seemingly unable to stay away. When he knocked at our door, I threw it open and ran into his arms. My mother looked surprised, her voice barely above a whisper. Jiho, you're here? I wanted to see you both, he said, his voice unsteady. He smiled down at me, his eyes softening. Shauna, you've grown. And just like that, the seeds of something extraordinary were planted. Weeks later, my mother and Jiho became closer, their love blooming naturally. They married, blending our two worlds, bringing Jiho's son Minduk into our lives. At first, it was wonderful. I felt like I had a family again. We laughed, shared meals, and our home became warm with love. But life, as I would learn, can be cruel. I was 15 when the darkness began. My stepfather, Jiho, the man I loved, who had become my world, turned into a nightmare. I remember the first time, the fear, the betrayal, the impossibility of trusting someone I had adored. I cried, begged, but there was no one to save me. I was trapped, my mother unaware, and his threats kept me silent. Years went by. I endured. I became quiet, obedient, hiding the pain behind smiles, until the day I found someone who truly saw me. Doha. My love, my hope, my reason to live. But even that was stolen. My stepfather would not let me go, forcing Minduk into the marriage I had dreamed of. My heart shattered again and again until the day he tried to take everything from me. And I died. And yet, death was not the end. When I opened my eyes, I was in a new world. Beautiful, vibrant, alive. Stronger than before. And there, standing before me, was Doha. My heart leapt, and something deep inside me, hope, longing, love, ignited again. But the world had changed, and so had we. I woke up gasping, my chest burning, my heart pounding as if it had been running for miles. The room was unfamiliar, sleek, modern, almost like a penthouse suite, sunlight pouring through floor-to-ceiling windows. I sat up, fingers trembling, my mind spinning with memories I had thought were gone. The nightmare of Jiho, the suffocating fear, the betrayal, the love I'd lost. And then I saw him. Doha. He was standing by the window, backlit by the morning sun, his silhouette sharp and commanding. But there was something different about him. He carried himself like a soldier, a man who had seen the world and bent it to his will. There was an intensity in the set of his shoulders, the way he held himself, that made my chest ache in a familiar, forbidden way. I blinked, unsure if this was real. Doha? My voice cracked, soft and tentative. He turned slowly, eyes scanning my face, and I felt my entire being tilt at the sight of him. Recognition sparked in his gaze, but it was hesitant, cautious, like he wasn't sure whether to trust what his eyes were telling him. Shaun! His voice was deeper, more resonant than I remembered, tinged with a mixture of disbelief and longing. Is that really you? Tears pricked my eyes. It's me. I'm here. I'm alive. I don't know how, but we're together again. My words tumbled out in a rush, desperate, frantic. He took a step closer, and my entire body reacted, heat pooling low and tight in my stomach. I thought you never loved me, he whispered, almost accusingly, his hand hovering midair, unsure whether to reach for me. I did, Doha. I've always loved you. I choked out, my hands trembling. Everything that happened in the old world. My stepfather, my mother, the lies, the loss, it was all taken from me. From us. I never stopped loving you. His eyes softened, and then hardened with something else, determination, fury, a promise of vengeance. Then we fix this. Together. My heart caught in my throat. Doha, what do you mean? I'm no longer the man you knew, he said, stepping closer, closing the distance between us. I'm a senior military officer now. I have the power, the authority, and the means to bring him down. His eyes darkened, the intensity making me shiver. Jiho. He's still in the world, and I know what he did to you. I know everything. I swallowed hard, tears spilling freely now. Doha. I was scared. I've been terrified all my life, and my voice broke, my knees threatening to buckle. He reached out then, gripping my shoulders, grounding me. His touch was firm, possessive, electric. Shaun, stop crying. Stop letting him control you. I'm here now. No one can hurt you anymore, not ever. Not him, not anyone. I swear it. I shivered under his touch, my body reacting to the closeness I had longed for, the warmth I had dreamt about in endless lonely nights. My lips trembled as I whispered, Doha, I missed you so much. His eyes softened, almost tenderly, before a dark glint of obsession flashed across them. I missed you too, Shaun. More than you know. And now, no one will ever take you from me again. Do you understand? I nodded, my chest tightening with a mixture of relief and desire. I understand. I'm yours, Doha. Completely. Then, in a rush of boldness and need, he leaned down, capturing my lips with his. The kiss was consuming, desperate, a release of all the years of longing and fear. My hands clutched at his shirt, pulling him closer, my body pressing against his. Heat bloomed inside me, a fire I had never felt before, and every nerve screamed with desire and relief. We broke apart only for air, foreheads resting together, breaths mingling. I want you, he murmured, his lips brushing mine again. But first we settle the score. Jiho will pay for what he did to you. I will bring him down with my own hands if I have to. My heart ached, a strange mix of fear and excitement. Doha, I'm ready. Let's end him. Together. He smiled then, dark and dangerous, his fingers threading through mine. Together. That night we planned, whispered in the shadows of my new room, plotting Jiho's downfall. Every detail we shared, every strategy we crafted, felt like justice and revenge mingled with the intoxicating pull of our rekindled passion. And as I lay in his arms later, Feeling his steady heartbeat against my chest, I knew, this time, nothing would separate us. Not fear, not lies, not death itself. For the first time in my life, I felt the terrifying, thrilling, overwhelming certainty of love that was unshakable. And I knew whatever came next, we would face it together. The city lights stretched beneath us like a web of gold and silver, glowing against the night sky as we drove toward Jiho's compound. My hands gripped the seat, knuckles white, heart pounding so violently I thought it might shatter my chest. I had lived years under his shadow, endured his twisted obsession, and now I had Doha by my side, stronger, unstoppable, and more dangerous than I had ever imagined. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" Doha asked, his voice low, commanding, yet soft enough to make me tremble. His hand brushed mine, fingers curling possessively around mine. I'm ready," I said, my voice shaking. "I've waited so long for this moment. For you. For us." He leaned closer, his lips brushing my ear, and a shiver ran down my spine. "Shaun, I promised you'd never feel that fear again. Tonight, he'll pay for everything he did to you. Every scar, every stolen moment, every tear, you'll see him fall." I nodded, swallowing hard. My stomach fluttered not just with fear, but with longing, the ache for him, Doha, the man who had become my everything in this new life. I had dreamed of this moment, imagined it 1,000 times, but nothing could have prepared me for the reality of sitting beside him, feeling the heat radiate from his body, his hand brushing mine with the promise of protection, passion, and vengeance. When we arrived, the compound was quiet, almost eerily so. Doha parked a distance away, the two of us slipping through the shadows toward the gates. My pulse was deafening in my ears. I could feel his strength behind me, solid and unwavering, giving me courage I hadn't known I possessed. "Stay close," he whispered, pressing a hand to my lower back. "Do not move unless I tell you." I nodded, and we moved silently, shadows in the night, hearts beating as one. The memory of Jiho, his hands, his threats, the terror I had felt for so many years, coursed through me, fueling a fire that I didn't know existed inside me. Tonight it would end. We watched him from the balcony of his study, unaware that we had arrived. Jiho sat at his desk, reviewing papers, his posture commanding, oblivious to the danger creeping toward him. I felt bile rise in my throat. This was the man who had taken everything from me, and tonight I would finally see him powerless. "Doha, he's so arrogant even now," I whispered, my voice low and bitter. "He doesn't know who he's dealing with," Doha replied, his eyes dark, predatory. "And he's about to learn the hard way." The plan was simple but precise. Doha had used his military influence to uncover every corner of Jiho's operations, every secret, every weak point. It was meticulous, calculated, and deadly. And I was finally free to witness it, free to stand by the man I loved, and free to reclaim the life Jiho had stolen. "Ready?" Doha asked, his hand tightening around mine. I nodded. "Ready." He moved first, swift, lethal, a shadow among shadows. I followed, heart in my throat, watching as every move he made was precise, efficient, and terrifying. Jiho didn't even see us at first. He was too confident, too sure of his control. And that arrogance would be his downfall. When Doha finally revealed himself, Jiho's eyes widened. "Doha, what?" "I'm the man you should have feared," Doha said, his voice ice and fire intertwined. "And I am his superior now." I stepped forward then, finally confronting the man who had haunted my life. Jiho's gaze flicked to me, recognition dawning too late. His confidence faltered, and for the first time in years, I saw fear in his eyes. You're Shaun," he stammered, voice trembling. I survived you," I said, my voice stronger than I expected. "And now so will justice." Doha moved then, swift, decisive, and every movement was synchronized with mine, a dance of retribution. Jiho tried to fight, tried to assert control, but we were unstoppable. Every moment he had used to dominate, manipulate, and terrorize me crumbled before us. And in the end, when he fell to his knees, pleading, begging, the weight of his crimes finally evident in his eyes, I felt relief. "Please, second chance," he gasped, desperation coating his words. "No," I said, firm, unwavering. "You took everything from me. There's no second chance for you. Not with me. Not ever." Doha's hand rested on my shoulder, steadying me, grounding me. "Shaun, it's over. You're safe now." I let out a shaky breath, tears streaming down my face, not just from relief, but from the sheer release of years of pain, fear, and longing. I looked at Doha, the man who had saved me, not just from Jiho, but from the darkness that had haunted my soul. Doha, I love you, I whispered, my lips trembling. I've never stopped loving you. He smiled then, a dangerous, possessive curve of his lips that made my heart skip. I know, Shaun. And now you're mine. Completely. Forever. That night, as we lay together, the city lights glittering around us like 1,000 promises, he held me close. Our lips met again and again, each kiss hotter, more urgent than the last, a release of all the tension, longing, and passion that had built over years apart. My hands roamed his body, memorizing, claiming, needing him as desperately as he needed me. Forever, Shaun, he whispered against my lips, teeth grazing mine, heat pooling low and tight in my chest. You are mine, and I will never let anyone take you away. Ever. I nodded, tears and laughter mixing in a breathless gasp. Forever. I'm yours. And for the first time in my life, I believed it. I was safe. I was loved. And nothing, no fear, no shadow from the past, could ever touch me again. The wind that night was warm, brushing through the half-open balcony doors, carrying the scent of night flowers from below. The city glowed like a constellation beneath us, but none of it mattered, because Doha was beside me. We had returned to his apartment after everything with Jiho was settled. The adrenaline had faded, and in its place came something else, quiet, heavy, smoldering. Doha closed the door behind us, the click soft but final. He turned toward me slowly. His uniform jacket was unbuttoned at the top, only 2 buttons undone, but enough for me to see the smooth line of his collarbone, the powerful shape of his shoulders. Shaun, he said softly, and my heart tripped over itself. I swallowed. Why, yes. He stepped closer. Just one step. But it felt like the entire room shifted with him. His eyes were dark, unreadable, burning with something I had never seen before. You were trembling back there, he murmured, lifting his hand and brushing a thumb across my cheek. I don't want you to be afraid anymore. I'm not afraid, I whispered, leaning into his touch before I could stop myself. Not when you're here. His jaw clenched ever so slightly. Good, because I'm not going anywhere. His hand slid from my cheek to my jaw, then to the back of my neck, his fingers threading through my hair with a possessive tenderness that made my breath stutter. I felt heat curl low in my stomach. Doha. He leaned down a little, his forehead nearly touching mine. I could feel his breath, warm, slow, controlled, but barely. He was holding back. Too much. You keep saying my name like that, he murmured, his voice dropping. Do you know what it does to me? A shiver raced down my spine. My hands, acting on their own, grabbed the front of his shirt. Doha. He didn't let me finish. His lips crashed onto mine. Hot. Fierce. Devouring. I melted instantly, grabbing his shoulders, pulling him closer. Doha kissed like he had been starving, like he had waited lifetimes. His hands slid to my waist, pulling me against him until there was no space, no hesitation, no fear left in me. Just us. Just now. His lips moved hungrily, then slower, exploring, savoring. I gasped softly when he kissed the corner of my mouth, then my jaw, then the spot just below my ear that made me tremble. Shaun, he breathed, his lips brushing my skin. I thought I lost you forever. I cupped his face, guiding him back to look at me. You didn't. I came back. For you. Something in his expression broke then, something soft, something raw. He kissed me again, slower this time. Tender, deep, aching with emotion. His hands framed my face like I was something fragile but precious, like he wanted to memorize every part of me. I love you, he whispered against my lips, the words almost shaking. My chest tightened. I love you too. Doha. His thumb brushed the corner of my mouth. Say it again. I love you. He kissed me. Harder. Again. Softer. Again. Desperate. Again. My back met the wall gently as he pressed forward, not to trap me, but as if he couldn't stop getting closer. His fingers slid down to my waist, to my hips, tugging me closer with quiet need. I tangled my fingers in his hair, pulling him back for another kiss. He groaned softly against my lips, and the sound sent a pulse of heat through my entire body. Shaun, he whispered, forehead resting on mine. You're shaking. Because of you, I whispered breathlessly. Only you. He exhaled shakily and pulled me into a tight embrace, burying his face in my neck for a moment. His breath was warm against my skin. I want to hold you like this, he murmured, his voice rough, for the rest of our lives. Then he took my hand gently, lifting it to his lips and kissing my knuckles. Come with me, he said softly. He led me to his bedroom, dim, warm, quiet. He didn't rush. He didn't force. Every movement was slow, intentional, reverent. He cupped my face again, searching my eyes. Tell me to stop if you're not ready. I shook my head, breathless. I'm not afraid, Doha. Not anymore. His lips curved into a slow, relieved smile, and he pulled me into another deep kiss. His hands traced down my back, lighting fires along my skin, and I leaned into him, letting him guide me into the warmth of the room, his arms, his heartbeat. The night grew softer, warmer, deeper. And when the lights dimmed and the world fell quiet, we lay together, wrapped in each other's arms, lips brushing, hearts racing, breaths mingling. Not broken, not lost, but whole. Together. At last, Doha didn't let go of my hand the entire ride back to his apartment. The city blurred past the windows, neon signs dragging streaks of color across the glass, motorbike lights slicing the night like quick sparks. But I barely noticed any of it. All I felt was the quiet warmth of Doha's thumb brushing along the back of my hand, slow and absent-minded, like he didn't even realize he was doing it. Like touching me had become natural. When we reached his building, he didn't wait for the elevator. He took the stairs, pulling me along, and the rush of climbing together left both of us breathless by the time we reached his floor. He stopped just outside his door, and the air between us changed. He turned to me, chest still rising and falling gently from the climb, eyes half-lidded in that way that always made my pulse jump. "Shaun," he said softly, "are you scared?" Scared. Not of him, never of him, but of how much I wanted him. I shook my head, unable to look away from his mouth. "I'm not scared." Doha's lips curved, slow and knowing. He stepped closer, close enough that his breath brushed my cheek. "Then why?" he murmured. "Are you trembling?" I didn't even realize I was. But my fingers were shaking against my sides, small, uncontrollable tremors. "Because," my voice broke, "because you make my heart feel too loud." A tiny, breathy laugh left him, a sound that was half affection, half hunger. And then he leaned in. His hand slid up, fingers brushing the line of my jaw, tracing it like he was learning its shape. When he tilted my chin up, it was gentle but firm, a touch that made the back of my knees go weak. "Shaun," he whispered, "look at me." I did, and Doha kissed me. Slow at first, unbearably slow, like he was savoring every second before our lips met fully. His mouth was warm, soft, careful, but the care didn't hide the heat underneath. The kind of heat that made my breath catch in my throat. I stepped closer, unable to stop myself, and his other hand slid around my waist, pulling me in until my chest pressed to his. His heartbeat thudded strong against me, and the closeness made my head spin. The kiss deepened. Not rushed. Not desperate. Just intense. Tender and hungry at the same time. Like he was trying to tell me something through the way his lips moved against mine. Something he wasn't ready to say aloud yet. When we finally parted, barely, Doha kept his forehead against mine, his breath brushing my lips. "You drive me crazy," he said, voice rougher than I'd ever heard it. My fingers curled against the front of his shirt. "You came back for me tonight." He pulled in a breath, the kind that sounded like he had too many things in his chest to choose from. "I'd come back for you every time," he said simply. A heartbeat passed. Another. And then, a cold gust of wind swept down the dim hallway. Doha's expression shifted instantly, eyes narrowing, muscles tense as if instinct recognized something before his mind did. I felt it too. A presence. A chill. Something wrong. Doha turned slowly. There, at the far end of the hallway, half hidden by shadow, Jiho stood. His hair fell strangely over his eyes, and his posture was still, too still, like a figure carved out of stone. But his gaze was burning. Possessive. Twisted with something that made my heart clench painfully. Doha stepped in front of me without hesitation, shielding me with his body. His hand found my wrist and squeezed once, grounding. Jiho's voice drifted through the hall, soft but slicing. "Shaun, you look better in this world." My blood ran cold. Doha's arm tightened around me. His voice was low, dangerous. "Stay behind me." Jiho took one slow step forward. And the night, which moments ago had been filled with warmth and breathless kissing, suddenly tilted into something else entirely. A collision of past and present. Of love and obsession. Of protection and danger. Doha's fingers laced with mine behind his back, hidden but firm. I held on just as tightly, because the world had become complicated. And this time, I wasn't facing it alone. If you want, I can continue with Chapter 6, escalate the tension, deepen the rivalry between Doha and Jiho, or add more romantic steam, emotional conflict, or possessive moments. Doha didn't move. He stood like a wall, broad shoulders blocking my view, one arm subtly extended back to hold my waist, tucking me behind him with a protective instinct that felt as natural to him as breathing. His voice was calm. Too calm. "Jiho," he said evenly, "you shouldn't be here." But Jiho only tilted his head, a sharp smile curving at the edges of his mouth. A smile I knew. A smile that meant danger. "I finally found him," Jiho said softly. "You have no idea how long I've waited." His eyes flicked to me, dark, greedy, possessive. I swear the hallway grew colder. "Doha," I whispered, tightening my fingers around the back of his shirt. He squeezed my hand once in response, his thumb stroking the back of my knuckles. Even under that crushing tension, he thought to reassure me. Jiho took another slow step forward. He wasn't rushing. He wasn't shouting. His voice was almost tender when he said, "Shaun, you left me." My breath hitched. "I died," I said, stepping slightly out from behind Doha's shoulder. "Jiho, I didn't choose to leave. You." But the words lodged in my throat. Because there, under the dim hallway light, Jiho's fingers twitched at his sides, an old habit he had when something inside him cracked. Doha moved closer to me, subtly nudging me back. "Don't talk to him," Doha murmured, low enough only I could hear. "He doesn't care about your words. He only cares about owning you." The way he said owning made a shiver run down my spine. Jiho's gaze sharpened. "Doha, you think you can protect him?" "I don't think," Doha answered coldly. "I know." The air vibrated, thick, dangerous. I could feel Doha's heartbeat through his back, fast and strong. His body leaned slightly toward me, a silent promise that he would not let Jiho touch me. Not now, not ever. Jiho exhaled a shaky breath. Something like longing passed across his face, but it flickered into something darker just as quickly. "You were mine first," he whispered. Before I could speak, before I could even step back, Doha turned, cupped my face with both hands, and kissed me. Not softly this time. Not slow. It was fierce, breath-stealing, claiming, his mouth warm and demanding against mine. His thumbs stroked my cheeks as he angled my face upward, deepening the kiss with a heat that melted every thought in my head. My hands grabbed his shirt, holding on as his lips moved against mine, hungry and deliberate. The sound of our breath between kisses filled the hall. My pulse hammered. His fingers slid to the back of my neck, holding me close as if he needed me just as desperately as I needed him. When he finally broke the kiss, a thin strand of breath lingered between us, our foreheads nearly touching. Doha didn't look at me. He looked straight at Jiho. His voice was a low growl. "He's not yours." Jiho's expression twisted, shock, rage, heartbreak blending into one volatile thing. "You're provoking me," Jiho said quietly. Doha's arm wrapped firmly around my waist, pulling me against him. I could feel the warmth of his body, the steady rise and fall of his breathing. "No," Doha said. "I'm warning you." Jiho didn't move. Not forward. Not away. Just stood there, trembling with something I couldn't name. Then, without a word, he turned and vanished down the stairs, his footsteps echoing until the hall fell silent again. My body sagged against Doha's chest, breath shaky. Doha held me tighter. His lips brushed my temple, soft, trembling slightly, the tenderness in that touch almost painful. "Shaun," he whispered against my skin. "You have no idea how scared I was." I pressed my forehead against his shoulder. "You were shaking." He pulled back just enough to look at me. "So were you," he said, brushing his thumb across my lower lip, still swollen from his kiss. But I meant what I did. My cheeks warmed. "Doha, why did you kiss me like that?" He leaned in again, his breath ghosting my ear, voice dropping to a whisper that sent a hot shiver down my spine. "Because," he murmured, "I needed Jiho to understand that you're mine now." My heart thundered. I didn't correct him. I didn't want to. He lifted my chin, his lips brushing lightly against mine. Gentler this time, warm and lingering. "Come inside," he said softly. "I don't want you alone tonight." And when Doha's fingers laced with mine, pulling me into his apartment, the door closing behind us, I realized something undeniable. I wasn't afraid of Jiho. I was afraid of how deeply I was already falling for Doha. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of fear. Not because of memories clawing up from the dark. I couldn't sleep because Doha held me. His arm was draped over my waist, his breath warm against the back of my neck, his heartbeat steady and comforting against my spine. Every time I shifted, he tightened his hold slightly, as if reassuring himself I was still there. When morning light spilled through his curtains, Doha was already awake. He wasn't looking at me. He was looking at the door. Doha, I whispered. He brushed a hand through my hair, slow and gentle. I called headquarters last night. My chest tensed. Why? I reported Jiho. I sat up fast, but Doha's hand pressed against my lower back, steadying me. He won't touch you again, Doha said firmly. Not in this world. Not ever. But Doha, my voice trembled. Reporting him, what if he gets desperate? Doha met my eyes. Something cold and lethal burned there. A silent promise that even the devil himself wouldn't be allowed near me. He already crossed a line, Doha said. In your past world. In this one. Everything is repeating because he thinks he owns you. His jaw tightened. I won't let that story happen again. My breath hitched. Doha, thank you. He didn't answer. Instead, he cupped my cheek, lifting my face to his. Shaun, he whispered. He hurt you for years. You suffered alone. That ends now. I swallowed hard. Did you tell them everything? No, Doha replied. Only enough to put him under surveillance. The rest, his thumb brushed my bottom lip, is your story to tell when you're ready. But fate was faster than us. A sharp knock echoed through the apartment. Doha stood, instantly alert. Stay behind me, he said quietly. I obeyed. When he opened the door, 2 military officers bowed sharply. Major General Doha, one said. We've come regarding Lieutenant Jiho. Doha's voice was clipped. Report. Sir. Jiho has fled base. My entire body went cold. He what? Doha's tone lowered dangerously. He left his sector at dawn. Security feeds show he was carrying unauthorized classified equipment. And, the officer hesitated, eyes flicking to me. He appears to be searching for a civilian. Me. Doha stepped forward so fast the officers flinched. Put out a full district alert, he ordered. Freeze his access. Track his ID signature. And send a specialized unit. Yes, sir. They saluted and left quickly. The moment the door closed, Doha cursed under his breath, raw anger vibrating off him. He's desperate, I whispered. Doha turned, grabbing my shoulders more aggressively than usual, but not enough to hurt. Just enough to show how terrified he was. Shaun, listen to me. His eyes burned directly into mine. He's cornered now. This is when he's most dangerous. Today, you don't leave my sight. I nodded, my throat tight. But before Doha could say more, before he could pull me into his chest again, his phone buzzed violently. He answered immediately. This is Doha. A voice crackled through the speaker. Sir, Jiho was spotted near your building. He appears armed. My blood froze. Doha's didn't. He snapped instantly into command mode. Evacuate nearby civilians. Secure the perimeter. I'm coming down. When the call ended, Doha grabbed my wrist and pulled me close, his breath brushing my forehead. Shaun, he murmured, the softness of his voice fighting with the steel in his eyes. I need you to be brave just a little longer. I'm trying, I whispered. He leaned down, pressing a kiss to my forehead. Slow, grounding, filled with a tenderness that broke something inside me. I won't let him take anything else from you, he said. Not your freedom. Not your breath. Not even your fear. His lips ghosted mine, warm and trembling. And definitely not you. Doha squeezed my hand once, then opened the drawer near his bed. Inside, a small, sleek emergency tracking band. He clipped it onto my wrist. What is this? I asked. A guarantee, Doha said, brushing his thumb over the device, that I can always find you. A tremor ran through me. Doha, if Jiho comes near you, he whispered, I will know. And I will end this. He tugged me into his arms once more, his body warm and strong against mine. His nose brushed my hair, then my cheek, then softly my lips. A slow, deep kiss. Not claiming. Not demanding. A promise. Then he pulled back, jaw clenched, eyes burning with both love and fury. Stay behind me, Doha repeated. Today, Jiho falls. Your one click means the world to me, lovelies. Please subscribe. Our Reborn BL journey never ends. The whole building felt too quiet. Doha had gone downstairs to coordinate the search, leaving 2 elite officers outside the apartment door. Still, my chest ached with a familiar dread. Jiho was out there, hunting me. Again. I gripped the tracking band Doha gave me, trying to breathe, trying to remember his voice. I can always find you. But fear has a way of finding cracks. A soft ding made me freeze. The elevator. It shouldn't have been active. Doha had ordered the lobby sealed. I took one step back. Then another. But the elevator door slid open, and Jiho stepped out. He wasn't smiling this time. His uniform was half-zipped, hair disheveled, eyes bloodshot and wild. The two officers in front of my door lunged for him. But Jiho moved faster. One strike. A twist. A blow to the throat. Both dropped unconscious. "Jiho," I whispered, my body trembling. He lifted his eyes to me. And in them, not love. Not regret. Just obsession. "Shaun," he breathed. "I knew you'd be here." I ran. I didn't think, didn't breathe, just sprinted down the hall, my feet barely touching the floor. But Jiho's footsteps thundered behind me. "Shaun! Stop! No!" I cried, turning a corner too fast. My shoulder slammed into the wall, pain shooting through me. Before I could push away, Jiho's hand closed around my wrist. Hard. Bruising. Familiar. "Finally," he whispered, dragging me toward him. "I have you." "Let go!" I screamed, clawing at his grip. He jerked me closer, slamming me against his chest, holding my face in both hands. "Why did you run from me?" Jiho whispered. Tears blurred my vision. "Because you killed me." Jiho blinked once, slow, confused. Then he laughed softly, like a man who didn't remember murder. Like a man who didn't understand love or pain. "You're beautiful like this," he murmured, brushing a thumb across my cheek. Shaking, crying, just like before. My stomach twisted. "I won't let Doha take you." "He didn't take me." I snapped. Jiho slammed me against the wall, breath hot and sour with desperation. "Yes, he did. You were mine." My whole body froze. Something inside me cracked open. Something I had buried from my past life. I was 15 again. Begging. Crying. Being silenced. "Jiho," I whispered, tears spilling. "Please stop." For a moment, just one, a flicker of guilt crossed his face. Then it vanished. "I'm doing this for you," Jiho whispered, lifting a hand to touch my cheek again. "In the old world and now, I'm the only one who truly loved you." "No," I said, voice shaking but firm. "What you did wasn't love." He stiffened. It was possession. Before Jiho could answer, a deafening crash shook the whole hallway. And Doha's voice roared through the air, raw and uncontrolled. "Shaun!" Jiho yanked me back, pulling me into a choke hold as Doha sprinted toward us. Doha wasn't alone. He was flanked by a full tactical unit. Weapons raised. Eyes locked. Ready. But Doha himself. His eyes were burning with something far more lethal. "Jiho," Doha growled. "Take your hands off him." Jiho's arm tightened around my throat. "Stay back. He comes with me." Doha took one slow step forward. "Jiho, you have 3 seconds." Jiho laughed, a cracked, unhinged sound. "You think I'm scared of you?" "Two," Doha said, ignoring him, eyes fixed on me. Blood rushed to my fingertips from panic. My breath hitched. Jiho's grip trembled with rage. "Shaun belongs to me." Jiho screamed. "One," Doha finished. And everything happened at once. Jiho yanked me backward. Doha lunged forward. The tactical unit surged. A gun was drawn. Hands reached, shouts echoed. And a blast erupted through the hall. My ears rang. My body froze. Jiho staggered. For one terrifying second, I thought he'd been shot. But it wasn't blood. It was his stun device, sparked and shattered in his hand, struck by Doha's knife-like throw of a metal badge. Jiho collapsed to his knees, electricity crackling through him. Doha caught me before I hit the floor, arms wrapping around me so tight it hurt. "Shaun," he breathed, voice breaking. "I've got you. I've got you. You're safe." My fingers dug into his shirt, my whole body shaking uncontrollably. Jiho lay twitching on the ground, consciousness fading. Doha lifted his head, fury like I've never seen filling his face. "Arrest him," Doha commanded. "Strip him of rank. And put him in solitary until further notice." 2 officers dragged Jiho away. As he passed me, barely awake, Jiho's lips formed a final, broken whisper. "Shaun, why?" Doha shielded my eyes, pulling me against his chest. "Don't look at him," Doha murmured. "He won't ever touch you again." My body finally gave out, collapsing fully into his arms. I didn't know if I was crying from terror, relief, or heartbreak. Doha held me like I was the only thing in his world. And maybe, in that moment, I was. He carried me, one arm under my knees, the other around my back, holding me pressed to his chest as if he was afraid I would vanish the second he loosened his grip. My cheek rested against the steady thump of his heartbeat. Strong, grounding, real. His uniform smelled like cold air and steel, but beneath it was warmth. Safety. He brought me into his apartment and closed the door with his foot. The moment the lock clicked, he set me gently on the couch. Then he knelt. Actually knelt. His hands cupped my face, thumbs brushing away tears I didn't even know were still falling. "Shaun," he whispered, leaning closer until our foreheads touched. "You're shaking." I'm fine," I lied. "No, you're not." His voice softened even more, breaking at the edges. "You almost died again." My breath hitched. His fingers slid to the back of my neck, grounding me, his forehead pressing more firmly to mine. "I could have lost you," he murmured. "And I don't know what I would have done." My chest tightened. "Doha," I whispered, grabbing his sleeves. He opened his eyes slowly. His gaze was gentle but burning with something heavy and unspoken. "Talk to me," he said softly. "Please." I swallowed. For so many years, 2 lives, 2 worlds, I had held everything inside. The pain, the fear, the betrayal, the shame, the memories I wished I could bury but couldn't forget. Now, Doha's hands held my face as if he was ready to catch every piece I was afraid to reveal. "Doha," my voice cracked. "In my old world, Jiho wasn't just cruel. He took everything." Doha's jaw clenched, but he didn't interrupt. "He hurt me since I was a child. I thought he loved my mom. I thought I finally had a father." My throat tightened. "But he destroyed my life." Doha's breath trembled against my cheek, his fingers tightening in my hair. "He threatened me," I continued, wiping my own tears. "Used his rank, his power, his lies. And when he found out about you..." Doha's eyes widened slightly. "When you told me you wanted to marry me," I whispered, voice cracking. "That was the happiest day of my life. But Jiho took even that from me. He stole you. He stole my future. He stole my freedom." My hands dropped to my lap, trembling. "And in the end, he stole my life." For a long moment, the room was silent except for the sound of my unsteady breathing. Then Doha moved. He wrapped me in his arms, slow, careful, but tight enough that I felt the tremor in his body. His face pressed to my neck, warm breath hitting my skin. "Shaun," his voice broke on my name. "Why didn't you tell me? Why did you carry all of that alone?" "I didn't want to burden you," I whispered. Doha pulled back immediately, holding my shoulders, eyes burning. "You think your pain could ever be a burden to me?" He leaned in until his lips brushed my cheek, soft, trembling. "Shaun, if you had told me in that world, I would have burned it down for you." My breath hitched. Doha's hand slid to my jaw, thumb stroking my lower lip. "And in this world," he said, voice low and certain, "I will never let anyone hurt you. Not even fate. Not even the past." His lips grazed mine, barely a breath between us. "You're safe with me now," he whispered. "You're mine to protect." My heart pounded so hard it hurt. Doha kissed me. Not desperate like in the hallway. Not claiming like when he wanted to warn Jiho. This kiss was slow, warm, deep. A kiss of healing, of comfort, of promise. His hand slid to the back of my neck, pulling me closer as his lips moved with breathtaking gentleness against mine. A soft sound escaped me, half sob, half relief, and Doha deepened the kiss only slightly, his thumb stroking my cheek as if coaxing me to breathe again. When he finally broke the kiss, he rested his forehead against mine. "Shaun," he whispered, "I love you." Time stopped. My heart jumped so violently it almost hurt. He didn't look away, didn't hesitate. "I love you," Doha repeated, his voice thick, eyes shining. "Not because I'm your protector. Not because of fate. Not because of the past. I love you because you're you." My vision blurred with tears. "I love you too," I whispered. "I always have. In both worlds." Doha exhaled shakily and pulled me into his chest again, holding me as if I was something precious, fragile but irreplaceable. For the first time in a long, long time, I wasn't afraid. And for the first time in 2 lifetimes, I felt truly loved. Morning came slowly. I woke with my head on Doha's chest, his arm wrapped around me as if guarding me even in sleep. His breath was warm against my hair, his other hand gently resting on my hip, rising and falling with each slow inhale. For a moment, I didn't move. I just listened to the steady heartbeat beneath my ear, alive, comforting, real. Doha woke shortly after, his fingers instinctively tightening around my waist. "You're still here," he murmured, voice rough from sleep. "I'm not going anywhere," I whispered. He smiled, just slightly, but it was soft and beautiful. Then, a loud knock slammed against the door. Doha instantly shifted, placing his body between me and the entrance. "Stay here." My pulse jumped, but I nodded. He opened the door cautiously. Outside stood Minduek. Doha stiffened. Minduek's clothes were wrinkled, his eyes red, his breathing shallow as if he had been running. When he saw me, he dropped to his knees so suddenly Doha reached for his gun. "Shaun!" Minduek cried. I froze. Even in the old world, Minduek had never cried in front of me. He had been quiet, calm, obedient, the son who lived in Jiho's shadow. But now he was shaking uncontrollably. I came to apologize," he whispered hoarsely. Please don't turn me away." Doha's voice was cold. "Stand up. Now." Minduek didn't move. "I can't, not until he hears me." Doha clenched his jaw but stepped aside slightly, still blocking most of me with his body. Minduek lifted his head. His eyes, swollen, guilt-filled, met mine. "Shaun," his voice broke. "I'm so sorry." A long silence hung between us. In another life, Minduek had stood by while Jiho made my life a nightmare. He never touched me, never hurt me, but he'd never saved me either. And then, he married Doha. My Doha. The future that was supposed to be mine. I swallowed. "Minduek, why are you here?" He wiped his eyes with the back of his sleeve. "Because in this world, I want to choose differently." Doha's expression twitched, surprise hidden under steel. Minduek pressed his forehead against the floor. "My father, he sent me messages before he was caught," Minduek whispered. "He told me if I didn't help him find you, he would make me disappear. He always used me." A cold shiver ran through me. Minduek's shoulders shook. "But when I saw him dragging you in the hallway, when I realized you were in danger again, I ran. I hid. I was a coward." Doha's voice hardened. "You should have come to me." Minduek looked up at him, eyes hollow. "I was scared of him. I grew up scared of him. I still am." My chest tightened. I knew that fear. I lived under it for years. Minduek turned to me again. "Shaun, you weren't the only one he destroyed. He took my mother away. He forced me to obey him. He used my future as a weapon." Tears slid down his cheeks. "And in the old world, when he made me marry Doha, I didn't want it either." My breath caught. Doha stiffened. Minduek continued, voice cracking. "I fell in love with you, Shaun." Doha went completely still. I froze. Minduek wiped more tears, ashamed. "I loved you because you were brave even when hurting. Gentle even when scared. Alive even when dying inside." He swallowed hard. "I didn't want your Doha. I wanted your courage." My heart pounded painfully. Minduek bowed again, lower. "I never wanted to take Doha from you. I only did what father told me because I didn't want to die." Doha's expression softened, not forgiving, but understanding. Minduek whispered, "I'm here now because I want to protect you, Shaun. Not because father ordered it, but because I never could before." Silence fell. Deep. Heavy. Trembling. I stepped out from behind Doha. "Shaun," Doha began, reaching for me. "It's okay," I said softly. Minduek looked up, tears streaking his face. And for the first time, I didn't see my enemy. I didn't see the boy who married Doha. I saw a broken soul who suffered differently, but deeply. "Minduek," I said gently, "I don't hate you." He covered his mouth as another sob escaped. "I hate what Jiho did. But I don't hate you." Minduek broke down completely. Doha placed a hand on my shoulder. "Shaun, you're too kind." I shook my head. "No. I just refused to let Jiho win again by letting hate control me." Doha looked at me with a mixture of awe and heartbreak. Minduek finally whispered, "Please, let me help you too bring him down. I owe you both that much." Doha stared at him for a long moment before finally nodding. "Then stand," Doha ordered. "If you're helping, you're under my command now." Minduek stood, wiping his tears, bowing deeply. "Yes, Major General." Doha turned to me, brushing his thumb over my cheek. "This war isn't over," he murmured. "Jiho doesn't break easily." I nodded. "But neither do we." The rain started before sunset, soft at first, like fingertips tapping the windows. By the time Doha and I got home, the sky had already sunk into a bruised purple. He tossed his keys on the counter, shook water from his hair, and gave me a smile that warmed my whole chest. "Come here," he murmured. I walked into his arms before even thinking. His hands slid around my waist, pulling me close, guiding my forehead against his. That familiar heat sparked between us again, gentle but strong, the kind that made the world melt away. His breath brushed my lips. "You've been tense all day," he whispered. "I'm fine," I lied. "Liar," he said softly and kissed me. It wasn't rushed this time, slow, lingering, as if he wanted to undo every knot of fear inside me. His lips moved against mine with a tenderness that made my heart ache. My fingers curled into his shirt, pulling him closer. The quiet rain outside only made everything feel more intimate, more ours. His thumb brushed my cheek, wiping away a tear I didn't realize had fallen. "Shaun," he whispered, "you don't have to pretend around me." I leaned into him, breathing in the warm scent of his skin, the comfort of his presence. Maybe I thought today would be peaceful. Maybe I thought Jiho was finally fading into the background of my life, a ghost dissolving. But as Doha led me to the couch, as he wrapped a blanket around us and pulled me against his chest, as his lips brushed my hair and the world softened, my phone buzzed. One vibration, then another, then another. Doha felt my body tense instantly. "Who is it?" I didn't want to answer, but the name glowing on the screen said everything. "Jiho. Calling. Again. And again." Doha's eyes darkened, his arms sliding around my waist tighter. The soft warmth of a moment ago shifted into something sharper, protective, possessive, like a storm building inside him. He took my phone gently, flipped it over so the screen faced down, and said quietly, "He's not part of your life anymore." I swallowed. "He won't stop, Doha." I don't care," Doha said, voice low. "I won't let him touch you again." His fingers slid under my chin, lifting my face. The jealousy in his eyes wasn't frightening. It was fierce, almost desperate, the kind that told me he would burn the whole world if it meant I'd be safe. He kissed me again, deeper this time, like he needed to erase every trace of Jiho's name from my skin. I melted into him, letting his warmth replace the cold dread inside me. His hands moved to my back, stroking slowly, grounding me. Every brush of his lips made the noise in my head fade, made me feel like we were the only two people left in the world. But the peace didn't last. The phone buzzed again. Then a message banner flashed on the screen. "Jiho. Shaun, I know where you are." My breath caught. Doha froze. Then he reached for the phone, looked at the message, and I saw the moment something inside him snapped. "He's been following you," Doha said, voice razor sharp. I didn't know. "Of course you didn't," he growled softly, brushing his thumb over my knuckles. "You've been trying to move on." He hasn't. He stood up, storm in his eyes, but I grabbed his wrist. "Doha, don't go. Stay here with me." He turned back, and when he cupped my face again, his touch softened instantly. "I'm not leaving you," he murmured. "Not even for a second." He pulled me into his lap, his arms tight around my waist, as if he could shield me from every shadow in the world. His lips pressed to my temple, then my cheek, then the corner of my mouth, slow, gentle, steady. "You're mine," he whispered against my skin. "And I'm yours. Jiho can't take you from me." And for the first time since my rebirth, for the first time since escaping the pain of my old world, I believed it. The rain outside thickened into a storm, but inside Doha's arms, I felt safe. Loved. Protected. Until the knock came at the door. A sharp, violent thud. Doha's entire body went still. My breath caught. Then, another thud. Harder. "Shaun," a voice hissed from the hallway. A voice I never wanted to hear again. "Jiho." Doha rose slowly, placing me gently behind him, his jaw clenched so tight I could hear his teeth grind. "Stay back," he whispered. And when he stepped toward the door, I realized. Tonight was the night everything would explode. The knocking didn't stop. It came again, louder, a violent pounding that shook through the apartment door like thunder. I felt my breath stutter, my heart slamming against my ribs. Doha stood in front of me, one hand gently pushing me behind him, the other curling into a fist at his side. "Don't move," he whispered. But my legs were already trembling. Another slam. "Shaun." Jiho's voice cracked through the hallway. "Open the door. I know you're inside." Doha's jaw tightened until his muscles stood out like stone under his skin. He walked toward the door with slow, controlled steps. The air around him felt electric, hot, angry, protective. When he reached the door, he didn't open it yet. He just said low and cold, "Leave. Now." A laugh came from the other side. "Who the hell are you to tell me that? Open the door. Shaun belongs to me." Doha's breath left him in a sharp exhale. Not angry, furious. "He doesn't belong to you," he said, each word steady and lethal. "And he never will again." Jiho hammered the door. "Open it." Doha tightened his grip on the handle, then slowly turned it. The moment the door cracked open, Jiho shoved it hard, barging inside. And then everything stopped. Jiho's eyes found me immediately, wide, desperate, burning. He looked nothing like the polished, confident man I once knew. His hair was a mess, his face flushed with obsession, and his breath came in quick, uneven pants. "Shaun," he choked out. "Why won't you talk to me? Why are you doing this?" I apologized. He stepped forward. Doha stepped in front of him so fast I barely saw the movement. "Back. Up." Doha growled. Jiho scoffed, eyes shifting between us. "So this is him? This is the man you left me for." "I didn't leave you," I said quietly. "I escaped." The words hit him like a blade. He stared at me, horrified, wounded, and then twisted into anger. "You think he can love you like I did? You think he won't get tired of you? You think?" Doha grabbed Jiho's collar and slammed him against the wall. The sound shook the room. My breath caught. Jiho gasped. Doha's voice was cold enough to freeze bone. "If you ever speak to him like that again, I swear." Jiho shoved him. "You don't know anything. Shaun is mine." "No," I said softly. Jiho froze. I stepped out from behind Doha, even though my hands were shaking. "You lost me a long time ago, Jiho. You killed the person I used to be. And now, this world gave me a second chance. You're not part of it." He stared at me, disbelief stretching his face. No, you can't say that. Shaun, I just lost control. I didn't mean to hurt you." "You strangled me," I whispered. "You killed me." Jiho stumbled back as if slapped. No, Shaun, his voice cracked. "I was angry. You made me angry. You should have." Doha moved so fast I didn't even see it. He grabbed Jiho's jaw in a bruising grip. "Don't finish that sentence." Jiho shoved him again, weak, frantic, losing control. "You don't get it," Jiho screamed. "I love him." "That's not love," Doha snapped. "That's possession." Jiho pointed at me, shaking. His eyes were wild, unhinged. "You're coming with me." I stepped back. Doha stepped forward. Jiho lunged. Doha caught him by the throat with one hand and shoved him down onto the floor. Not hurting him, restraining him. But Jiho still fought like a man drowning. "Let me go," he yelled, thrashing. "Shaun, please, please." My chest tightened. I wasn't scared anymore. I was sad. This was all that was left of the man who ruined me. Doha held him firmly, breathing hard, muscles tight and furious. "Look at him," Doha hissed. "You're terrifying him. You call this love?" Jiho stopped struggling. He looked at me. Really looked. For the first time, he seemed to see what he had done. His gaze drifted to his hands, trembling, empty. Then to my neck, as if he remembered the last time his hands had been there. He collapsed. Just crumbled. His head dropped, breath shaking, tears dripping onto the floor. "I ruined everything," he whispered. "I ruined you." His voice broke. Not with love. Not with regret. But with the realization that he never had control, only destruction. I stepped closer, just close enough to look down at him. "You didn't ruin me," I said quietly. "You only ruined the version of me who tolerated your cruelty." I reached for Doha's hand. Doha tightened his grip around my fingers protectively. "Yes," I said softly. "That version died. But I'm alive now. Without you." Jiho's face twisted, sorrow, anger, disbelief, all crashing together. "No," he whispered. "No, Shaun, don't say that." "It's over," I said. "This is your final chance to leave my life forever." Doha let go of him and pulled me back into his arms, shielding me. Jiho just sat there, collapsed on the floor. Lost. Finished. Destroyed by the consequences of his own obsession. And for the first time, he didn't get up to follow me. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He didn't reach for me. He just cried. Broken. And Doha held me tightly, pressing a soft kiss to my temple. "It's done," he whispered. "You're safe now." For the first time since my rebirth, I believed it. Jiho's final breakdown didn't end with screaming or threats. It ended with silence, heavy, trembling silence that filled the apartment like a closing curtain. Doha locked the door after he left. He didn't speak for a long time. He simply stood there, staring at nothing, his hands still wrapped tightly around mine as if he feared I might disappear too. I tugged gently on his sleeve. "Doha." He turned immediately, eyes burning, face tight with emotion. "Come here," he whispered. I stepped into his arms, and he pulled me close, holding me with a gentleness that contradicted the strength in his body. His hands slipped up my back, warm and steady, grounding me. "You're safe now," he breathed against my hair. "From now on, you're only mine to protect." My chest tightened. I pressed my face into his shoulder and let myself breathe, really breathe, for the first time in years. Jiho was finally out of my life. And Doha chose to stay. Days turned into weeks. The fear in my bones slowly softened. The nightmares faded. And Doha's presence filled every quiet space in me that had once been nothing but darkness. He learned how I liked my tea. He knew when my hands shook even before I did. He kissed me softly when I woke up, and held me even softer when I fell asleep. We built a home together, warm, calm, sunlit. One night, while he was brushing my hair after a shower, I placed my own hand over his. "I'm happy," I whispered. Doha froze for a second. Then he bent down and pressed a kiss to the side of my neck. "Then I'm happy too," he murmured. "That's all I want." It was during one of those peaceful mornings, Doha making breakfast, me stealing glances at him like an embarrassed teenager, that the world shifted again. I felt a flutter. Soft. Strange. Impossible. I froze, hands sliding over my belly. "Doha." My voice trembled without my permission. He turned instantly, eyes wide. "Shaun, what's wrong?" I couldn't speak at first. The tears slipped down my cheek before I managed to whisper. "I think I'm pregnant." The sound of metal hit the counter. Doha had dropped the spoon in his hand. His mouth parted. His eyes slowly widened. And then, slowly, shakily, he walked to me. "Say it again," he whispered. "I'm pregnant." Doha's breath left him in one hard exhale. He touched my stomach with trembling fingers, scared to hurt me, scared to hope. "Shaun." His voice broke. Then he gathered me into his arms and held me as if I were made of something precious. "You're giving me a family," he whispered, voice shaking. "You're giving me everything I ever wanted." He kissed me, soft at first, then deeper, warmer, with a joy so overwhelming I felt it in my bones. Pregnancy changed everything. Doha became impossibly protective. He carried me when the stairs were too long. He cooked my meals even when I said I was fine. He slept with his hand over my belly every night, whispering nonsense into my skin as if the baby could hear him. Sometimes I woke up to find him watching me. "What?" I whispered, embarrassed. "You're glowing," he said simply, brushing my cheek. "Don't lie." I don't lie to the person I love. My heart always melted at that. Months passed with laughter, warmth, tiny kicks, and Doha's constant fussing. And then, the night came. The pain hit me suddenly. Sharp. Real. Terrifying. "Doha!" I gasped, gripping his arm. His eyes widened and every shade of panic filled his face. "It's time," I whispered. He didn't hesitate. He held me, carried me, kissed my forehead, whispered encouragement between every breath. "I'm here. I'm right here, love. Breathe for me." The hours blurred. Then, a cry. Small. New. Perfect. The doctor placed the baby on my chest, and Doha let out a sound I had never heard from him before. Half a sob, half a laugh. "Shaun," he whispered, touching my hair, my cheek, my trembling hands. "You did so well. I'm so proud of you." I looked up at him. Tired. Happy. Complete. He bent down and kissed me softly, his forehead resting against mine. "We did it," he breathed. "You and me." I smiled, tears slipping down my face. "Doha," I whispered. "We're a family now." His eyes softened in that way they only did for me. "We always were," he said. "But now the world will know it too." And as I lay there in his arms, with our child warm against my chest and Doha's hands holding us both, I realized something. My second life didn't start the day I was reborn. It started the day Doha found me again. And this time, nothing would ever tear us apart.